So yeah, we are back to our channel, and now today we are going to learn about basic object-oriented programming applications. What is the difference between OOP and SOP? OOP is a type of programming which is based on object rather than just function and procedure. It is a bottom-up approach, provide data hiding, can solve problems of any complexity, and the code is reusable in OOP. And in SOP, structure-oriented programming provides logical structure to a program where programs are divided into functions. SOP is top-down approach. SOP is structural programming. Does not provide data hiding. So can solve moderate problems. Does not support code reusability. SOP does not support code reusability. SOP provides a logical structure to a program. The programs are divided into functions. What is OOP? Object-oriented programming language is a type of programming which is based on objects rather than just functions and procedures. Individual objects are grouped into classes. Object-oriented programming implements real-world entities like entities, polymorphic, hiding, etc. Why use OOP? While using OOP, you get many features like encapsulation, data hiding. Uh, Data hiding is a part of encapsulation. Data abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. What are the main features of object-oriented programming? It provides features like inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, data abstraction. What is an object? What is a class? So, an object is a real-world entity which is the basic unit of OOP. For example, chair, car, cat, dog, etc. Uh, class is a prototype or a blueprint that consists of objects in different states and with a different behavior. It has a number of methods that are common to the objects present within that class. So just think of an example as you want to make a building. So the blueprint of that building is the class, and all the furniture, bricks, cement, all the things needed to build that building are the objects needed. Each has its own attributes. Okay. Difference between class and the structure. Class is user-defined blueprint. It consists of methods or set of instructions that are to be performed on an object. Structures are basically a user-defined collection of variables which are of different data types. Can you call the basic class? Can you call the base class method without creating? Yes, you can call the base class method without creating an instance or an object of it. Suppose that the base class is a static method. Base class method is a static method. We can just call using the class name dot function will be used to call the static method. Another method is that you can uh, suppose that the base class is being inherited by some other subclass. So by creating an instance of the subclass, you can call the methods of the base class. Difference between object and class. Object physical entity, class logical entity. Class doesn't take any space, object takes space. So objects are real world entity, classes are template or blueprint within which objects can be created. Inheritance. Suppose there's a class named vehicle, another class called car, bike, etc. Now car and bike can inherit common properties from the companies. This is inheritance. So no need to create all the methods. So the Italian code can be stopped here. So there are multiple level hybrid inheritance. Different types of inheritance: single, multiple, multi-level, hierarchical, hybrid. Multiple inheritance comes into picture when a class inherits more than one when a class inherits from more than one base class. Multiple level inheritance. Multiple level inheritance means a class inherits from another class which in itself is a class of some other base class. Okay, let me give an example of multi-level inheritance. A class describing a sports car will inherit from a base class named car, and now this class car is also inheriting from another class vehicle. So there's a chain of classes which inherit from each other. Multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance comes into picture when a class inherits more than one base class. A class defining a child inherits from two base classes, mother and father. Multiple inheritance. A class defining a child inherits from two base classes, mother and father. This is multiple inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is a combination of multiple and multi-level inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance refers to inheritance where one base class has more than one subclass. For example, the vehicle class can have a car, bike, etc. The difference between hierarchical and multiple is that a class inherits from two base class, mother and father is multiple. Now, suppose a single base class is being inherited from by more than one subclasses. That is hierarchical. Here, a vehicle class is being inherited by car and bike. Limitation of inheritance increases the time and effort required to execute a program. Parent class and the child class gets tightly coupled. You need to have careful any modification to the program which would require changes both in the parent as well as the child class. Superclass. Superclass is also known as base class. The vehicle class is the superclass of class car. Subclass. Here class car is the subclass of the class or a derived class of the vehicle class. A class that inherits from another class is called a subclass. Polymorphism. Polymorphism refers to the ability to exist in multiple forms. This method will be if you have a class named vehicle, it can have a method named speed, but you cannot define it because different vehicles have different speed. Now this method will be defined in its subclasses with different definition. Okay, in its subclasses means in car as well as in bike. Static polymorphism means static binding, which means method overloading, or compile time polymorphism. Here the polymorphisms occurs at compile time. Dynamic polymorphism occurs during runtime. Uh, it is also known as method overriding. Method overloading. Method overloading is the feature of OP which makes it possible to give the same name, having the same name to more than one methods within a class, if the arguments passed differ. In a single class, you have many methods of same name but have different parameters or return type. That is a method. In method overriding, the parameters are same, the return type are same, but both the methods are present. One is present in the base class, another is present in subclass. So during runtime, this polymorphism occurs during runtime because you never know which function is going to get called. Okay. Your method provides a feature OP in which the child class subclass can redefine methods present in the base class or parent class. Here the method that is overridden with the same name as well as the signature meaning the arguments passed in the return type. Operator overloading, simple example is that suppose you need to add two complex numbers, so you can override the operator plus to change it into addition of two complex numbers. First the addition of real part and then the imaginary part. Overloading versus overriding. Overloading during compile time, overriding result during runtime. Two or more methods have the same name. Overloading but different parameters, signature overloading. Overriding child class defining methods present the base class with the same signature or parameters. Encapsulation means data hiding. Encapsulation, also known as data hiding, as the data specified in one class is hidden from other class. Access specifiers are part of encapsulation. Access specifier, access modifier are keywords that determine the accessibility of methods or classes. The most common access specifier are public, private, and protected. And in Java, we have default also, or based on other programming language, some of the access specifier. Now, accessibility based on Now, accessibility from own class, accessibility from derived class belongs to the same package. But accessibility from world means accessibility from another package. So public is accessible from anywhere. Yes, yes, yes. Private is accessible in the same class only, not even in a other class of same package. No, and no, and of course not in another package. Protected is accessible in the same class. Yes, protected is accessible in same package and in different in the same in the class of same package. Yes, but in an outside this the same package, no. Data abstraction. Data abstraction means for example, while riding a bike, you know that if you raise the accelerator, the speed will increase, but you don't know how it actually happens. This is data abstraction, as the implementation details are hidden from the user. Here, the implementation details is being hidden from the user. Abstraction can be achieved through abstract class abstract method. An abstract class can have abstract method as well as normal methods also. So an abstract method are methods which are basically declared but not defined. It means in that in those methods there is no code written inside it. Okay, just it just knows the what parameter it should take, but it doesn't know the code inside it. So these methods are to be used in some now these abstract classes are being inherited by some subclass. Now it is the responsibility of those subclass it is the responsibility of those subclass which will redefine those methods. Okay, so here it's okay. If these methods are to be used in some subclass, they need to be exclusively defined in the subclass. Can you create an instance of an abstract class? No instance of an abstract class cannot be created because it does not have a complete implementation. However, instances of its subclass can be created. What is interface? An interface contains only abstract methods. All the variables in interface are final by default. Interfaces, unlike classes, are not blueprints because they do not contain because they do not contain detailed instruction or access to perform them. Any class that implements an interface defines the methods of the interface. It means it will redefine all the methods of the interface. Data abstraction encapsulation. Second part is that just the definition. Encapsulation is binding coordinate data together into a single unit and hides it from the world. Encapsulation. Data abstraction allows showing important aspects while hiding implementation detail. Now, first point is the main difference. Data abstraction solves the problem at the design level, while encapsulation solves the problem at the implementation level. Virtual functions are functions that are present in the parent class and are overridden by the subclass. This is achieved during runtime polymorphism, or this is also known as method overriding. Here, the functions written in the parent class are overridden by the subclass. What are pure virtual functions? Pure virtual function means abstract functions. Or abstract functions are functions that are only declared in the base class. It has no code written inside it. This method means that they do not contain any definition in the base class and need to be defined in the subclass. The constructor is a method which has the same name as the class name. It is used to initialize objects of that class. Destructor is a method that is automatically invoked when an object is destroyed. The destructor also recovers the heap space that destructor is used to recover the heap space that was allocated to the destroyed object, process the file and database connections to the object, etc. Type of constructor: default parameterized. Copy constructor is used to copy the objects. Static constructor called without creating an instance of the class. Private constructor. What is copy constructor? A copy constructor creates objects by copying variables from another object of the same class. The main aim of a copy constructor is to create a new object from an existing one. Use of finalize. Finalize is an object method. It is used to free up unmanaged resources and clean up before garbage collection takes place. It performs memory management tasks. What is garbage collection? GC is an implementation of automatic memory management. The garbage collection frees up space occupied by objects. Use of the garbage collector frees up space automatically occupied by objects that are no longer in existence. Class is a template method is a callable set of instructions, also called a procedure of functions that are to be performed on the given data. Difference between abstract and interface. Abstract contains abstract as well as normal methods. Also interface only abstract method. Abstract may contain final or non-final. The variable declared in an interface are final by default. Can be private, public, etc. The class interface has public by default. Can provide the implementation of interface. Abstract, yes, abstract and class can provide implementation of interface as it contains abstract as well as other methods also. But in interface we cannot provide the implementation of abstract class because it can't contain normal methods. It will only contain abstract methods. So what is final variable? A variable whose value does not change. Exception handling. Exceptions are notification that interrupt the normal execution of a program. During an exception, it can be handled. The state of the program is saved as soon as an exception is raised. What is exception handling? Exception handling is an object-oriented programming is a very important concept that is used to manage. It is used to manage errors. An exception handler allows errors to be thrown and caught and implements a centralized mechanism to resolve them. Error versus exception. Errors are problems that should not be encountered by application. Once an error comes, the program's execution stops. During an exception, the program execution during exception, if it is handled, the program execution doesn't stop. Exception conditions that an application might try to catch. What is try-catch block? A try-catch block is used to handle exception. The try block defines a set of statements that may lead to an error. Now suppose any one of the statements matches, it will throw an exception. So this exception is catched by the catch block and it will show you the appropriate output. What is finally block? A finally block consists of a code that is used to execute important code. It is used to execute important code such as a closing a connection, etc. This block executes when the try block exits. This block executes when the try block exits. It also makes sure that finally block executes even in case some unexpected exception is encountered. It makes sure that finally block executes when in case some unexpected exception is encountered. Limitation of OOP usually not suitable for small program, require intensive testing, take some time to solve the problem, require proper planning. The programmer should think of solving a problem in terms of object. It takes some time to solve the problem, requires intensive testing. So now we end our YouTube video.